Welcome to the Transformation Project. It includes all of my latest and most cutting-edge teachings that took me over 16 years of working on myself and over 12 years of coaching to figure out. So click the link below right now to get started, to get access to this free course, and get ready for your life to change. First thing, and write this down, screw dream sexuality. Write it down. Screw dream sexuality. If you don't know what dream sexuality is, you're about to, and you're about to realize it is most people alive. What is dream sexuality? Especially in the self-help spiritual field, it's people who fantasize about dreams or their fantasies or someday, right? So for example, that's how you know in San Francisco. Man, did it go down. Now, so what does this mean? Dream sexuality, it's when you experience sexual attraction towards your dreams. It could be, and this is the most common way, your dream of someday, where you might be watching videos, coming even to an event like this, and you're filtering all this information. You're like, oh, I can't wait till someday I apply this, and someday I change. Someday I'll be that person, and people will stare, and my high school friends will see me and be like, whoa, did they change? My parents will see me, my life will change, my success will go up, my friends will change, my relationship will change, I'll make more money, I'll travel someday. And that's the fantasy. And you go home and you're like, someday, someday, someday. That's most people. Even watching YouTube videos, you're like, oh, I wish I was like that. Ooh, that person. Ooh, did you see that person traveling? Someday. And you literally have this toxic sexual fantasy relationship with someday, with your dreams. This can also happen with hero worship. You might be seeing someone on YouTube and you follow their journey. And you have this weird relationship with someone you don't even know. And not even their real life, but what you're projecting onto them. Oh, I saw this clip of that person. They were on a plane and they said that. Oh, that's really cool. And then you're thinking about it. You're like, oh, it's so inspiring. Oh, the hero worship, the hero worship. Screw that. That's why I say, write down screw dream sexuality. Instead, develop a healthy relationship with not your dreams, with reality. That's the only metric of success. It doesn't matter what you think of someday, that little plan you have for yourself, that little vision you have for yourself. All that matters is, hey, in reality, did things change? And you can audit so far your journey in this whole self-help spiritual world. How many months, years have you spent working on yourself? How much content did you consume? How much time was that? How many hours of content did you consume? How much time do you spend thinking about it? All that investment there, measure it against reality. Okay, here's all the time investment, the energy investment, the focus investment. What changed? And it better be something substantial that justifies that investment. Otherwise, you're kidding yourself. Otherwise, and this is sadly most people, they just live in this little dream. Self-help becomes their new Netflix, where they feel less guilty about slacking off, and they have all these dream sexual relationships with other gurus or their future someday self. That doesn't produce any kind of change. You got to be radically honest with yourself and be like, okay, where am I? What changed? And if you aren't happy with it, you better switch something up. And it comes first and foremost from valuing reality over fantasy. Screw dream sexuality. Now, to be fair, you are here in person, and that is a huge step up. Most dream sexuals would be far too scared in terms of setting foot in a seminar room like this, because this is an environment that can force you to change, that can force you to snap out of that little fantasy and actually start taking action and producing real results. This is something, fortunately, me starting out, I had going for me. I was very, quote unquote, selfish, meaning if I saw someone doing well, instead of being like, oh, that's so cool, I'm going to fanboy around this person, or on the flip side, which is even worse than fanboying, it's hating. It's like, oh, screw that person. I was like, oh, that's great. How can I get that? How can I become that? Oh, that person's really confident. How can I be really confident too? You got to make it about you. And this is not toxic. People are like, oh, that's a little selfish. No, this is healthy. Living in that dream fantasy, worshiping others, that isn't. So you got to get clear here and sit down and be like, okay, what is my goal? What is it that I want? All those people who might inspire me, and inspiration's great, How can I get that or be like that? Okay, and again, first step is showing up here in person. Next step is put your ego aside and be ready to receive real and raw feedback. Not the sugarcoating feedback, and that unfortunately is being hyped left and right to the point where any kind of real feedback, I mean, with any piece of advice, you could always find a little downside. It's like, oh, but I don't know about that. That was too harsh. The big one now is if someone's needy. Back in the day, there was advice like, don't be needy, right? Good advice? Yes, no? Yeah, if you're needy, it's extremely repelling. People just sense it in the vibe. You know what people say now? Oh, well, actually, reciprocity, that's a healthy need. It's a human need. Don't tell the needy person to not be needy. That's just you being human. Oh, take responsibility for your life. No. You're victim blaming now. They're a victim of the system. Why are you telling them to be responsible? So there's all these little counter arguments for real and raw feedback. Again, and this is the old school type of thinking I fortunately had, don't speculate, try it out and see. Hey, try out oh, but being needy is just natural. It's a human need to get reciprocity. If I say hi, they should say hi. If I like them, they should like me, right? That's what I'm told. Go try that out. See what happens. Versus, don't be needy. See what produces results. Oh, the system is flawed. I am a victim. Try that out. Try being the little victim. See what happens. Well, okay, try taking responsibility. See what happens. Field test it. The real world will tell you very fast what works and what doesn't. So don't speculate. That's another thing of the dream sexual. Just like, I wonder. Go find out. And what I found, because I've been personally working on myself since 2006, coaching since 2010, is that real, raw feedback works best. Not any kind. There's also very toxic, real, raw feedback that doesn't work. But for the most part, you got to put your ego aside. If you cannot do that, then that is the first thing to start working on. Put it aside and just let it happen. For me personally, there's even an instance that stands out that I think of to this day. This is 2009-ish in Los Angeles. It was the first time I met my friend Derek. It goes by Derek Moneyberg. And it was actually at Owen's place. And I was just some broke kid at the time. And I'll get into this. I'd moved to LA from Switzerland, had no money. I was just this little broke kid who'd go out and just kind of network party, had nothing going for me, was working just minimum wage jobs, very little opportunity. And I met this guy. And I didn't realize how quote unquote bad my situation was. I'm like, look, I'm doing pretty well. And he sat me down. He's like, look, man, I like you. Just vibe wise, you seem smart, but what are you doing? And I'm like, what do you mean, what are you doing? And he's like, look, if this is really the life you want for you, the level of success you want for you, what is this? You're better off just moving. Funny enough, I think he said San Francisco. Moving to San Francisco and just become a male hooker. That was his advice, his honest advice. Lie detector type advice. It's like, just go be a male hooker and just whore yourself out. Like, what is this? This is pathetic. No one ever told me that. Guess what? My friends at the time were like, yeah, Julien's fun, that's fun. No one was ever like, what are you doing? What is this? What is it? Just go be a male hooker. Just go out, whore out. This is pathetic. It's at that level. And it stung. It hurt. I was like, oh, I think I remember going home and like almost tearing up a bit in my pillow. I'm like, that was kind of mean. I'm better than being a male hooker. Yet, it woke me up. Just like adversity, that's life's way of waking you up. The same with this type of advice. Usually it's the advice that really stings. Looking back, you hate it in the moment because your ego hates it. But looking back, you're like, thank God for that. That piece stood out, and that piece, although it wasn't comfortable, produced change. And that's what you should value. Change results over comfort. Even this whole idea of changing means venturing out of your comfort zone, taking risks, disrupting your comfort zone. You think you can have this little comfort zone and you can slowly add to it and build upon it and eventually reach that ideal life. It doesn't work that way. They're not connected. You want to get here, you're going to have to shatter some of this. It's called the destruction phase of transformation. You might have experienced some of it already. If you work on yourself, suddenly the status quo gets disrupted. Suddenly, perhaps some of your friendships, relationships aren't the same, and they aren't as good. Suddenly, maybe passion for your job, what you're doing in life changes too. You're like, is something wrong? Am I going backwards? This wasn't supposed to happen. That is good. You don't want to go back to how things were before. You don't want the comfort zone. That's why you're here. If your current status quo is being disrupted, that's a sign things are changing. But, so it's not like, it's fucking falling apart, I got to go back. Keep on going. Don't just stay there, keep on going. You could think of it as swimming from one shore to the next. People, they start swimming and they're like, I miss the shore, my comfort zone, and they go back. Keep on going and have faith that the new shore on the other side will appear. That's part of change. You got to disrupt it. People have to start viewing you differently. Your habits have to start changing. Who you are, how you communicate, how you come across, how you think, how you feel. All of that has to change. And that there, guess what? Not everyone around you is going to be accepting of it. There'll be some people in your life you're going to have a falling out with. That comes with the territory. The question for you is, are you willing to go through that? And the answer should be yes. Because if it wasn't yes, you wouldn't be here. There's a part of you saying, this isn't enough, this isn't authentic, more, better results. Okay? Now, my goal with this talk here is to give you everything that you need to start changing your life. This isn't Instagram where you're going to get 3 quick tips to change your life. This is what actually really works. It's also not necessarily catchy. It's what works. I'm not some coach who just came about a year ago. I'm not some little social media influencer, although I am on social media. As I mentioned, I've been working on myself since 2006, coaching since 2012. That's 12 years plus of coaching people. 12 years plus of doing seminars, live events like this, programs where I take people out, work on them, personalized programs, like you name it. I've personally taught tens of thousands of people face-to-face around the world in over 40 countries. That's who I am. The social media, YouTube, that's just me posting little clips from some events here and there. Most of the time they're free events, so it's not even my real work. And that's just, because I love helping as many people as possible and to get the word out there. But what does that mean for you? It means that I've seen what works in the short term and what doesn't. There are tips and tricks I could give you right now that in this moment, you're going to feel completely changed. You're like, oh, that was amazing. And then you think that that is the advice that produces results. No, that produces a little spike. I've seen advice I thought was really good back in the day, say 2010, 2011, and I'd see the same person later, 3-4 years, and it wasn't as transformative as I thought. So I've been refining it, and you notice with time what sticks, what doesn't. What this also means is no matter who you are, I've seen you before. Not you per se as a person, but someone just like you. I've seen it all. I've taught all over the world. I've done multiple world tours. I've seen people of all ages, all backgrounds, all cultures, all different kinds of sticking points and issues. And guess what? Just like working on your social skills, the more people you talk to, the more you start recognizing different patterns, the more you're able to develop a spidey sense and even predict people's responses. The same thing happens with coaching. You have so many people that you start coaching, you start recognizing the patterns. And you know what type of advice to give to who and when. So what you're going to hear here is not, again, little Instagram quick tips. Doesn't come from books. It comes from real life experience, working on myself, and then testing it and refining it with clients for over a decade. So do lock in.